I think about, for me, NAD, I've only taken it in the IV form. I've actually never taken any of the suppositories or the NAD bullets. What is the delivery mechanism for NAD? Why is it so important to bypass the gastric process? I remember you mentioned this to me before. You can get NAD that's IV, but there's something really special about when you stick it in your butt. So let's talk about that. Like, when you stick it in your butt, something magical happens.
Initially, we had talked about how sick I got, when it was Lyme and mold and Epstein-Barr. And I mean, it was really miserable. And the amount of inflammation I had was just insane. And somebody had recommended I try a glutathione suppository. And so I had it from a compounding pharmacy. I had it ordered, and it was just amazing. I woke up the next morning and I felt fresh, and it was like one of the first things that actually worked to calm down the inflammation in my body. And so I started to do some research on suppositories, and I learned that the gastric juices and your digestive juices break down a lot of nutrients, and there's certain really powerful nutrients that you can't get orally because of that. And then there's something called first pass through the liver. So not only if it makes it through the gastric juices and the digestive system, then it still has to face this first pass through the liver. And so once you get through with all of that, like melatonin is very poorly absorbed orally. 2.5% of it makes it into the bloodstream. NAD, it does not absorb orally very well at all. Glutathione is another one. And so a lot of polyphenols don't absorb well orally, like the fisetin and the sterile-stilbene.
So you just have to increase the dosages if you're taking it orally.
Well, yeah, a lot of people don't absorb these. Absorption is a real problem, I think, for a lot of people.
Okay.
Okay. Even if they take large amounts, if you're only absorbing 2.5%, this could be a real problem.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people go to IV clinics and they get IVs, right? Or injections. So this suppository delivery actually has an advantage over an IV in the sense that you may have more of those nutrients get into the cell than you would with an IV, because it comes down to something called peak plasma. So if you take something orally, it's going to be available in your blood for a certain period of time. Like, let's say that you took methylene blue, which, by the way, absorbs really well orally. But let's say the methylene blue has a peak plasma of an hour and a half. So for an hour and a half, that methylene blue is in really high concentration in your blood. You're going to be peeing blue.
That would be the best time to do photobiomodulation, right? When it's at its peak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So when you take a suppository, there's a slow release over 5 to 7 hours. So peak plasma can be 5 to 7 hours, which means that if a cell can only accumulate, like if you've got this methylene blue in the blood and it's got a rate that it can pull that methylene blue into the cell, right? And then it's gone, so it doesn't have any more methylene blue. It only had that 1 hour to pull it in. Imagine if you do extend that peak plasma. So ultimately, where nutrients really make the benefit is if you get them into the cell. So the absorption into the cell through something that is a slow release like that is going to be way higher than even an IV.
Check out some of the videos on this screen that are perfectly curated based on the video you just saw. Make sure you follow me, and I'll see you in the next video.